said this multiple times. I think Matt Walsh has a fucking talent for saying the worst possible argument at all times.
You know what?
He's
not
really
alone,
good
though.
at it.
Michael Knowles is great. Candace Owens, Jordan Peterson.
Well,
I mean, they have an all-star team over there.
No,
it is
no,
like
they
the
do.
worst people ever.
But they're all for different reasons, and this is just so I study this way too much. But Candace Owens, she's good at her job because she's an Aunt Tom. But like she's a very good at doing that thing. So she's good on the racial stuff, but she doesn't really get much lightning anywhere else. Michael Knowles is just a fucking fascist. Like he's genuinely like he wants to murder trans people with his bare hands for funsies and laugh while doing it, and then go join his family for dinner. Like that's Michael Knowles. And so when he says crazy shit that gets like traction, it's because he genuinely fucking believes it. Matt Walsh, I think he just likes the attention, but he's really good at getting the attention. He purposely, like Michael Knowles says crazy things because he means the crazy things. Matt Walsh crafts his statements to have a really dumb sentence in there that is going to get as much traction on the other side as it does on his side, and he's an excellent at it. And then Ben Shapiro is just the fucking ringleader who can put all these people together and do the Ben Shapiro thing. He doesn't really change his shit. But
he's like the Chris Wallace of Fox News. That's what Ben Shapiro is.
That's a great comparison. That is a great comparison because Ben Shapiro is smarter than all three of them put together. I mean, like light years beyond them. And it's weird because Ben Shapiro is a true believer. He is like he's like Michael Knowles. He's a true believer. He's a true believer.
Oh, I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
Oh no, definitely, and 100%, 100%
not a true believer.
I would be stunned if he's not a true believer.
Wait, this is a segment. This is a segment. We might as well.
This is a segment.
Listen. So, like, Michael Knowles, I believe he's a true believer. Candace Owens, I don't know. I don't because like
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
I don't think she is either.
Yeah.
But if I found out she was, like, she had like some sort of weird, because I was like, okay, because I've seen it, but Matt Walsh, like you were talking about, John, Matt Walsh is just an agent provocateur. That's his thing. Like he finds ways to really like stick it to people, and he enjoys it. And it's funny you mentioned how he'll say something incorrect or like really bad. I noticed that Republican Congress people do this on Twitter a lot, where they will like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, for example, where she tweeted, I'm a Christian, so they try to drive me to my knees, but that's where I'm the strongest. She knew what she was doing with that. There's 0% chance she didn't know that. And I saw another one. I think this was on purpose too, but he's dumb enough that I can see it be an accident, but I'm like 80% it's on purpose. Tim Scott, for those of you who don't know, is unfortunately, honestly, fighting allegations that he's gay, because that's a problem for Republicans and everything. And he tweeted something today. I saw it like right before the show. And he said, he was talking about the southern border. And he says, if you can't control your back door, you don't have a country. And I was like, come on, man. If you're trying to beat the allegations on this, you can't start your sentence with, if you can't control your back door. Also, you spent 10 minutes arguing with Nikki Haley about fucking curtains. Come on. Like, yeah, bro, you are not helping this at all. Now, Ben Shapiro, on the other hand, Ben Shapiro, from what I've read and seen, like from like his earliest days, like him talking about how he thinks Palestinians are animals and everything. Like, this guy is a religious zealot through and through. And I think, and I think this because he tailors his message to dial it back a bit. Like I remember the segment where he talked about men wearing dresses, and he says, well, you know, women can wear pants because there are women's pants, but there's no men's dresses. I was like, you don't believe that. Like, you don't. Like, you're saying that because you know it's insane to say in the year of our Lord 2023, women shouldn't be allowed to wear pants. And also, he like when Kanye went on the straight anti-Semitism thing, he's like, look, no, this is fucked up. Like, no, that's not cool. Like, he didn't go on board with that. COVID shots came out, and he's like, listen, I don't make everyone here at the Daily Wire get vaccinated. I got vaccinated. My family got vaccinated. So like he actually, which is way more than most conservative outlets would do. or commentators would do. A lot of them got vaccinated and then just, bullshitted. But no, like, I think he does stand on his principles on a lot of the stuff. So yeah, I think he is a true believer.
I think I can agree with a lot of you just said. When I say true believer, I mean like true believer in all of the fucking shit. I think that, as I said, Michael Knowles, everything that comes out of Michael Knowles' mouth is to assert fascist control over fucking America, right?
Yeah.
I think Ben Shapiro, everything that comes out of his mouth is to make him more money. Like to me, Ben Shapiro is a money fucking
okay, I see what you're saying.
Focused person. So like he'll stick by his principles if it doesn't cost him anything, but he'll completely make up bullshit if it's going to make him more money. And I think that I'm realizing that what I'm saying right
where
now.
Where are you going with this, man? Where are you going?
Like I'm hearing it back in my head, and I will preface this with saying I wasn't thinking about that, but I genuinely think that what he does, like he built this empire, and I genuinely have respect for Ben Shapiro for what he's built. And I think he's built it by focusing on that aspect of it. What is going to drive his brand? What is going to give him the most success? More so than I believe in these principles and I'm going to espout them like Michael Knowles does. That's the line I draw there. And Jordan Peterson, which we haven't discussed yet, I think he accidentally got into politics. Like I think he never intended to be where he is right now. I think he looks around at the rest of them and goes, "What are you guys even talking about?" Because I think Jordan Peterson came from more the philosophy that he's a fucking shrink. That's his lane, and he's accidentally gotten into the right wing lane, and he's just confused all the time now. Like he genuinely seems confused. I think he has brain damage from hanging around these people, because he is right a lot of the time. If you look at his older shit, not right, but not crazy about some stuff he says about masculinity, about he has good shit there. But once he tries to marry that with politics is when it just gets fucking nutsos.
I think, I hate framing this way, but I honestly think that I'm more with TJ on this one. I do think that Ben Shapiro comes off to me as being genuine. Not saying that I agree with anything that he says, but I don't know, just of all the people on the Daily Wire, I think I've come across his content the most through debates that he has with people on the left, or times where he was critiquing other people on the right. I think more so than anybody else on the right, I've seen him critique the right more. He will honestly go after Trump. I've seen him do it multiple times. There's nothing financially advantageous about doing that. And so I will say that if the goal was only money, then he would be a grifter the same way that you have the Steven Crowders and, actually, to be fair, the other people on the Daily Wire. It does seem as though, while I do agree that he does seem to have a business acumen, he does seem to know how he's structuring the Daily Wire and, what certain topics they focus on. I've never caught myself thinking that he's flip-flopping, but that maybe I haven't just seen as much of his content as the rest of you guys have had.
Ben Shapiro knows his left and right limits. I didn't mean left and right. That was funny, but his left and right limits on how far he can go. He will criticize Trump. When the indictments against Trump came out, he said, listen, it is possible to say two things: that what Trump did was definitely illegal. It's right in front of us, black and white, but it's also fair to say that he's being unfairly targeted. That's his route. That's where he goes with that. And which is a hell of a lot more than 99% of conservative commentators would say. So this is not praise Ben Shapiro, or that's not what I'm saying. But I do think that of all the conservative commentators, he genuinely believes
consistent.
This shit. He's rather consistent. Glenn Beck is a good example. Glenn Beck was anti-Trump too back in the day. But once his show started tanking, he started wearing the MAGA hat. He started cheering. Ben Shapiro never did that. Ben Shapiro's Trump, I guess, will support him since he won, but he was never he's still a big DeSantis guy. Remember, he donated a couple $100,000.
No, the Daily Wire is trying to personally prop DeSantis up. That's still a goal for them.
And there's no reason to do that. He's a loser, but he doesn't like Trump, but once again, Ben Shapiro correctly realized Donald Trump is tanking the Republican Party. He's tanking it, and he's done it for the last 6 years. So yeah, It's weird we started talking about Matt Walsh. I mean, we didn't even get to what Matt Walsh said, but Ben Shapiro. Yeah.
I think there is a frame in the future. You know, maybe if somebody's in the comments and wants to tell us about this, but maybe we should do like a power rankings of conservative.
Oh my god,
conservative.
That's actually so
battle
good.
royale. Oh, that's great.
I don't know if S tier means the best or S tier means the worst. We can figure that part out later. But if anyone's interested, I definitely want to hear it in the comments.
I like that idea.
Love
okay,
this.
wait. So there's a guy, Brett Coleman. He does like NFL content, but he's been doing a series that's make the best running back, make the best wide receiver, like the best hands, the best route running, and we could do that with a pundit. Like who has who's the best personality? Who has the best arguments? Who has the most outlandish shit? Who's the funniest? You know, like that could be a segment that we do. I'm
predicting Ben Shapiro doesn't get the best voice part. That part is going out the window. He has no shot on that one.
He doesn't get it.
It's actually perplexing to me that anyone can listen to Ben Shapiro. Like it's just
he has the biggest audience, doesn't he?
Right, but like even if I agreed with everything he said, there's no shot in hell I could consistently listen to that guy. Like it's like my ears are getting stabbed. I don't understand.
It's an interesting thing, and I know this kind of turned into the Ben Shapiro hour here, which maybe we should just call that the name of the episode. But like honestly, I know people, centrist people on the left, they will quietly admit that sometimes they listen to Ben Shapiro. He seems to have some kind of crossover appeal. I mean, like I have found myself listening to like some of his debates that he's had with people on the left. I find those to be interesting when he debated like Anna Kasparian, or a time where he had a conversation with Neil deGrasse Tyson. But yeah, it's interesting to me how many people seem to actually hold some affinity for Ben Shapiro.
I don't get it.
I'll be the contrarian here and say I get it. Like there was a point, not that I was ever on the right, but there was a point when I was younger, like high school, that like I liked the Crowder segments, the Change My Mind. I liked Ben Shapiro. And not that I agreed with them necessarily, but I liked them. I liked the way they argued. I liked the way they presented their points. I was usually like creating counter arguments for them, but like I connected with the way they talked about things because it was different than the way that the traditional media pundits did. Like they seemed to genuinely care about the facts of the argument, and seemed is the correct word here. Like we know that they often just use the facts that benefit their case, but at least they were using the facts. At least like Ben Shapiro's wrong about a lot of shit, but at least he attempts to back it up with some made up fact, and to me, I understand the appeal of that, especially to a conservative who's dealt with, Fox News all their life, and to that is way more appealing if I'm a conservative than what has been the conservative media of the past.
I want to play off that really quickly here, if you don't mind, TJ.
Go ahead.
I think for me, when I was starting doing this content, I didn't make a massive habit out of it, but I think, here and there, I went out of my way to listen to conservative media, not for a sense of like, oh, I'm really feeling this, but more or less like I am a really big believer of steel manning arguments. Like I want to take what exactly it is that you believe so that I can tear it down effectively. Like I don't want to leave anything on the table. I want to make sure I know exactly what it is that you're trying to say. And through that kind of minefield of watching Fox News or Charlie Kirk or Steven Crowder, the Daily Wire folks, or just go down the pundit list, right? I have to say that there was almost no one I could stand to listen to, but he was probably the only person who like I could get like 20 minutes into and it hadn't killed me yet. So yeah.
Okay. All right.
He's beside himself. He's beside himself.
So maybe I've been uncharacteristically inarticulate in describing like why Ben Shapiro's like his voice is just awful. He's not a good broadcaster. That's the part because like listen, I grew up listening to Rush Limbaugh, to Bill O'Reilly. Sean Hannity was all right. I never really cared for Sean Hannity or whatever, but like guys who were actually who had pleasant sounding voices. Ben Shapiro has one of the worst voices I've ever heard in my life. That didn't get you. Like you said, you listen to Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder. Steven Crowder at least has a normal sounding voice. He's a lot dumber than Ben Shapiro, but I mean, at least he sounds like a normal human being. Ben Shapiro sounds like a cartoon character, but that's you just love to hate.
That's no, you just TJ, you just hit it though. He has a memeable voice. He has just like Donald Trump. Like, it's easy to do a Ben Shapiro impression. You can see yourself in Ben Shapiro. You maybe not, because you have a good voice. I do too. But like, if you're like a little shit, little nerdy, he's that little nerdy contrarian shit in your fucking English class who like is like making the argument that I don't know, fucking, you know, Hitler had some points, like just for the sake of it. And he is that to a T. And the type of people who are like that see themselves in him. And everyone else, he's easy to make fun of. Like okay,
what about you guys though?
What about our voices?
You guys like, you guys like, you guys like listening to him though, like that.
Oh no, well, let me differentiate my stance here. I think personally that doesn't bother me, like the sound of somebody's voice. Like it really doesn't bother me. Like I'm more interested in what is your argument and can I follow it? And does it make sense to me? Like, is there actually an ideology here, or are you just trying to find a way to play 4D chess to make your terrible views somewhat palatable for the people who are casually listening on their ride home from work? You know, like that's more or less what I'm interested in here. And I guess with him, it always felt like I'm not agreeing with what you're saying here, but I can follow you. I see where you're coming from. It feels like you legitimately believe what it is that you have to say. And occasionally when you're calling out corruption of the Democratic Party, you know, you're probably going to get me to nod along with you because, you know, sometimes you're correct about it. So.